being caught between two worlds. I am currently in Tanzania, and I feel caught between two worlds from a race and nationality standpoint. I'm Tasha Danielle, and my channel is all about inspiring people to forge their financial journey to live their travel dreams, whether it's taking a weekend getaway to your dream vacation spot or traveling long term like I am. Be sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe button so you will not miss a video when it drops. Why do I feel caught between two worlds? First and foremost, after spending 4.5 months in Europe, I was ready to blend in from a racial standpoint. Like, I just wanted to see a whole bunch of black people so I wouldn't get questions on, oh my God, where are you from? Like, immediately when they look at me. Now, for people who like to play devil's advocate, which I don't know why the devil need an advocate. When you are from different countries, your appearance, your clothes could be different and stuff like that. But that's not why they were automatically knowing I wasn't from there. I did get some people who thought I was local because the way I was maneuvering so fast when I was traveling between metros and stuff like that. But in certain countries in Europe, it was like, okay, you are not from here. We don't see that many black people. It wasn't said, but it was, oh, can I take a picture with you? Because we ain't never seen nobody like you. Or, oh, we don't have any open appointments for the next several weeks for your pedicure. I only got one pedicure one time in Europe because I was running into things like that. So the racism that I experienced was covert, just like in the U.S. It's that racism that no one's gonna call me the N-word. I have experienced that in the U.S. several times, though. But it's more of a, we don't want to play with you in the sandbox. We whatever. But we're not gonna tell you that flat out. We just gonna use other things so we can exclude you. That type of treatment. So I was ready to be just able to walk down the street and not stick out like a sore thumb. One thing. And for people who may be saying that, like, if you experienced that in the U.S. and you went to Europe, what did you think it was gonna happen? I mean, I was expecting to experience what I experienced in the U.S. I was ready to see something new. Experience something new. It's the same thing like living in Michigan. I tend to, after work, before COVID, it's like, all right, let me go to the spots where I know when I speak slang and different stuff, they're going to get it. That type of thing. I had a thought on, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like minorities that are American tend to always have to put that, like, their whole continent in front of it. Asian American, African American. It's like, you never hear people really say a Nigerian American. Like, sometimes you do, but it's just like we just have that whole thing where I never hear people say European American. It's like, first generation Italian or something like that, or Italian American, but I never hear Europe American. That was just a random thought that I had, ready to blend in. Now, I knew that once I got to Tanzania, like, I was going to experience issues because I don't speak the local language, and like, appearance wise, I may stand out. And so let's talk about that first. From an appearance standpoint, I tend to wear form-fitting clothes, mini skirts, or I may wear like a crop top or whatever. And I mean, that's just what happens in the U.S. It's the type of clothes they sell. And I'm older now, so I don't wear as much revealing stuff as I used to. But, I like to show up my figure. I got legs and hips. All right, I had to say it. That was so funny when that was going on with Candy, that look from that play. If you know, you know. But I tend to wear like those type of clothes. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, you see the type of stuff. Even in my videos, you can see the type of stuff, clothes that I normally wear from my thumbnails. I don't know about Africa as a whole, but I do know the countries that I looked into visiting, the dress is more conservative, especially when I was in Egypt. Like, it's a strong Muslim country. Women usually are wearing hair wraps and, clothes, like, fully covered. And I did see that, and I did see women who were from Egypt who were wearing regular clothes like me. So it's not like, oh my God, you won't see anyone who's wearing a miniskirt. It's just the outliers, for example. When I got to Tanzania, I felt like I stuck out from the looks I was getting. No one said anything, but it was like, I had on, I'll show the dress on the screen. I wore this is like my staple. Y'all probably like, girl, how many times you gonna wear that dress? But I'm traveling with a carry-on. If you haven't seen that video, link. I have a link in the description box. So I wore this and I had a jacket on over it because I'm like my back is out or whatever. And I'm thinking because it come in the front anyway, almost to my knees. I'm like I'm good. The looks I was getting, I'm like okay, let me not do this. So I'm like I can't wear my skirts because the skirts are too short. Then I'm like thinking in my head like what dresses do I have? So I was wearing dresses that came down to my knees, but I'm a little thick. So in the back, it may be long in the front, but it's gonna be a little shorter in the back. And I just did not feel comfortable from the looks that I was getting, like the extreme attention that I was getting from the men, and it wasn't like, okay, if I wear what I wear to a bar, of course God's gonna say something to me. Like I'm used to that, I'm expecting that. But it was just like going to the grocery store and different stuff like that, or in the mall. I just didn't feel comfortable. And so I'm like, okay, let me get some clothes that's more in line with what everyone's wearing. Now you may think you really went to Tanzania, or why are you trying to blend in? With from a clothes standpoint, be you. It's more of a thing like there's certain things I'm just not gonna wear to church because I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel like you're showing a sign of respect. Same thing when it comes to like family gatherings. I try not to wear stuff that's too tight when I'm doing stuff with my family. Sometimes I'll be going out after, so I do. But my point is, now that I've gotten older, I don't want to wear the mini skirt to a family get together. Well, in my 20s, I'm like, I don't care. I'm gonna be me. I've grown out of that. It's a sign of respect. So that's what I felt with being here in Tanzania. I want to just, if women are wearing longer skirts because that's what they want to wear, they're not wearing stuff to their ankles or anything like that. But they got body here, all right? So their dresses tend to be flowy or coming down, even in the back. They got the same thing that I got, and the dresses are coming down. And so I'm like, all right, I'm just doing this from look wise. I'm like, let me go ahead and get something that's more aligned with what I'm seeing. So what I got on right now, which is, I don't know, some angles I hate this what I have on, because of the cut of this dress, but it's a full length dress. And I feel so comfortable. I'm trying to get used to this pattern that I got because I usually don't get busy patterns. But I feel so much more comfortable walking around because it's just a flowy dress. Even though I had clothes that were kind of like, okay, that's different. Now, I did see other women that had on shorter stuff. But, I literally can count on my one hand in a week how many times I saw women that had on something similar to me. Okay? But even with that said, every person still came up to me and spoke Swahili because they thought I was Kenyan. So I'm like, I was trying not to speak. I was going to be like, Habari, Asante, trying to say my one or two words that I know. And then you hear the accent when I try, or when I would just gesture and I would speak, they're like, you from America? I'm like, yeah. They're like, you don't know Swahili? No. Getting back to my point between being caught between two worlds, Europe, parent standpoint, I stuck out. Not saying there's no black people in Europe, because there's black people in Europe, but the majority are white. So the places that I went to, let me just say that. And so I wanted to blend in from a racial standpoint, appearance wise. And I knew language was going to be a barrier, but not as much as it is. And that's what has had me feeling like a little bit of an outsider more here than when I was in Europe. So it's just been hard to kind of adjust to that. And what I mean is Google Translate do not work here. Like, Google Translate picks up slang of other languages, I know, because I would sit with locals and they would talk and I would be laughing and responding, and they're like, how do you know? When I'm like, some people would like, you understand? And I'm like, yeah, I showed on my phone, and it had conversation mode, so I could sit at a table with, Bulgarians, Romanians, and Russians, and Ukrainians, and understand what they were saying, because Google Translate picked up their slang. In Tanzania, the local language, the primary language is Swahili, and Google Translate do not pick up Swahili slang at all. And then somebody told me that it's swanglish, where it's like Swahili mixed with English words or whatever. And Google Translate, girl, we don't know that. Even when my Uber drivers send me messages through Uber, Google Translate is automatically in there. It cannot pick up what they're saying. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, I was not prepared for that. Not having Google Translate to be able to help me and from a conversation or even from a reading standpoint has been very tough for me. And it's like, I have met several local women who have been a godsend. Like, one took me to get my hair done because I needed a child. And side note, this is my third time getting braids since I left the U.S. I got my braids done in Portugal, in Bulgaria, and here. And I got these braids done. I had my braids taken out, washed, everything. And even got a pedicure for these. Ooh, my feet is rough. Best pedicure I've had like in a long time. I mean, maybe a couple years. It was an hour and a half pedicure. Okay, back to the topic. Oh, for $45 USD, and I had some good chicken and some fries up when I was getting my hair done. I was like, ooh, ooh. Not y'all doing these mini braids and taking out my hair, washing my hair, all for 45 USD. Okay. Let them spend time and they went to undergrad in the US, so they understand some of my slang and they listen to you rap or whatever, so they get it. It's not like, oh my God, it's all the music we listen to, the shows that we watch, they watch the same thing in Tanzania. So that's not different, but it's just certain subculture I don't get from them. They can understand my cultural references, but I don't understand theirs, like, at all. Because in the U.S., we tend to only know what U.S. American culture. And that's what's so frustrating to me. It's like, okay, yeah, I can speak the language, but the cultural differences are so strong. I knew it was going to be some because my roommate from college is Ghanaian, so I spent a lot of time with West Africans, being friends with her for so many years. But, child, I didn't expect for it to be this rough for me. So aside from the cultural, me not understanding the cultural stuff here in the language, it's kind of heartbreaking because it's like I feel like I'm not fully connecting with people here, and it hit a little bit different than when I had these experiences with people I met in Europe, because it's like, okay, yeah, English may not have been their first language or whatever. I didn't really care if they didn't get my slang or whatever because I didn't really expect them to. But it's like a mind blank. I don't want to say the word, but mind blank when you feel like y'all look the same, you know what I mean? And even some of the tones and enunciations is the same, and it's like they get me, but I don't get them. Oh my God. I feel like a little lost puppy sometimes. And I'm choosing to be by myself today just so I wanted to reflect on it or whatever, but it's just hard. Even when I was at the bar yesterday, I went to see Wakanda. I went to see Wakanda by myself and go to the bar by myself. And it was like, when I did this in places in Europe, it did not bother me. I did not care being by myself. I was fine. And I would say it bothers me more being a solo traveler in Tanzania than anywhere else. So I'm trying to just think about like, what can I do to change that? There are expat groups that I'm involved in. I've done that my whole time traveling, and I definitely can hit up the woman that I've met. I've hung out with them several times since meeting them. It's not that. It's just something, I can't put my finger on it, but I just feel like an outsider. Not that I don't feel accepted, because that's not the case. I get the, you home, you know what I mean? And people like, some people like you have features of a Tanzanian or Kenyan. And I'm like, when I was in South Africa a few years ago, people were saying Ghanaian more. And I'm like, now maybe because I'm in East Africa, they're saying that. But like, a lot of people are like, no, for real, your features and different stuff, like pointing to Kenya, maybe Ghana. And so they're like, they want to try to figure out where exactly I'm from. And I would say this, a question that got on my nerve in Europe was this: where are you from? And I'm going to say, I'm from the U.S. And then they would be like, no, where are you really from? And I would get offended. And I'm like, well, maybe if colonizers didn't colonize Africa, and my ancestors went shipped to the U.S., maybe I would know if where I'm from. Like, if it kept being pressed, I would get slick with it, because it's like, I don't, you know what? I don't know what country my ancestors are from in Africa. And it's still a question that bothers me. And then once I got it asked here, it was like, different, because they're like, they were trying to figure out with me, and they're like, have you done 23andMe? I don't believe in the DNA testing, because I feel like they just saying whatever country they want to say. How do we know? I know it's coming from DNA. You can tell what country, but it's like down to the tribe. How will I be able to validate that? The accountant in me, the auditor in me, I want to validate. Uh, Trust but verify, and I don't know how to verify that, right? How? And that's where I get frustrated. Now, if you know something I don't know, please let me know in the comments, because I could be very ignorant to some things with the testing. And I'm always open to learn. But that is where I'm like, wow, I don't know. And so I don't even know if it could be another language that is my ancestors' native tongue and not Swahili or whatever. So that is a part that I'm like, okay, I don't get offended with that question. And it's not coming from a place of like, you don't belong here. It's always like, oh, sister, we glad you home. And it's like, you know how you feel to be in Tanzania. Even when I came into the Hyatt today, I talked to the people at the front. They were so nice. They were like, the guy was like, how do you feel being here? And I'm like, it's hard. It's different, because I feel, yeah, because at first they were speaking to me in Swahili, and then he's like, you don't know Swahili? I'm like, no. I felt like, I keep looking up, because I think when I look up, I'm just like, yeah, it's just been a trying experience. So, and I talked to him, and he was able to understand where I was coming from. He's like, well, I hope you come back again, because the more you come back, the more comfortable you'll feel, and you'll learn more. And I'm like, I get it. He said, there's so much to see in Tanzania, and I'm like, I'm going to Kenya next, and he was like, okay, yeah, Kenya, cool. Everybody said that here in Tanzania, but you need to come back. You need to spend more time in Tanzania, because total time here is 3 weeks. And I'm definitely going to come back, because I don't like, one thing about me is I'm a very tenacious person. And when I feel uncomfortable, I always want to know, why do I feel so uncomfortable about something? And it's bothering me that I feel a lot of moments of uncomfort in Tanzania. And it's not from like a safety standpoint, like, or anything like that. It's just, I don't know why I'm so uncomfortable, which brings me, not so uncomfortable, but I had so many moments of being uncomfortable. So that gets to my next point, which is one side of me connected more with being in Europe than I ever would have thought, now that I'm here in Tanzania and thinking about things. One thing I got used to while I was traveling through Europe was being able to use public transit, and it was just easier to get around. And I didn't really use Uber or Bolt. It's like another ride sharing app. I didn't really use those too much in Europe, because it was easier just to get to where I needed to go on mass transit. Now that is something I'm not used to, meaning that I live in the Detroit area back at home, but I just got used to that convenience. And then being a walkable city, I was in a lot of places where it was walkable. Even if I didn't live in a downtown area, or my Airbnb wasn't, like Barcelona, for example, it's just like you can walk to wherever you need to go. There's bars everywhere. There's just like everything you would want to do. Hangout spots right there, shopping spots. And that's not the same in Tanzania, where it is walkable, I guess, in a sense, but the roads are different, because the side streets are like not paved. And like the streets you would walk on, for example, to get to like the main road streets that they're driving on, I have to get used to the left side and right side. You drive on the left side of the street here, not the right side of the street. So that's odd for me walking. And then the streets, when you walk on them, where on the main street there's no like paved sidewalks, which that is very common in the US. However, it's a lot of dirt roads, and then there's tuk-tuks here. So tuk-tuks is what I ride in mostly, because that's what Uber option is. There's no car option available on Uber as it stands, because I guess there was something going on recently where cars were not available to be on the app. Cars just got added back to Bolt, which I just found out like maybe a few days ago. But I've been riding in tuk-tuk, that to me was a major culture shock because I rode in a tuk-tuk in Portugal for a tour, not as my main means of transportation. So I was like, whoa. So getting around, I was just uncomfortable. Like, what is this? I don't have another option. The city bus is like some of them are like bigger minivans, and I see them driving crazy. It's just I was like, whoa, I won't have to get around in a tuk-tuk. And then, like I said, back to the streets, it's like the tuk-tuk drive up on the street sometime with motorcycles where people are walking. I'm like, okay, well, what is this? Like I was like, okay. So I didn't feel comfortable or really from a safety standpoint, really walking because I'm like, it just seemed like people just drive any and everywhere they want to, and it's okay, which that happen a lot of time in the U.S. as well. So I'm not gonna front and sit here and act like, oh my God, the U.S. is. I'm not. That's not the point of this video. There are a few like juice spots around the corner from me, and I'm like, I just don't feel comfortable walking there. I just don't, and that makes me feel so bad for saying that. And then I also feel weird because it's like, dang, I feel like everywhere I go, I gotta get an Uber. Now I'm used to having a tuk-tuk Ubers, and I'm like, I'm used to it, right? Your brain wants to experience the same thing over and over. I think it just is a comfort there. So now I'm like, okay, I'm used to this now. Maybe if I started walking, I'll get used to that too. So it's a lot more of a culture shock being in Tanzania than anywhere. It was culture shock in Egypt, but in my mind, Egypt was a vacation. We were staying in the hotels the whole time. We, me and my mama. I got so many videos on Egypt if you haven't seen it, so you already know what I'm about to say. Look in my description box to see those videos. I didn't really have a lot of expectations for Egypt. I was just like, I'm going to do the pyramids, see symbols, and learn history. Was my expectation. I wasn't trying to really connect with the culture as a place like I am now in Tanzania. That's different. Difference when you have vacation hat on or when you like, okay, I'm gonna stay in an Airbnb. I'm gonna try to connect with some locals. Like, that's the mode that I'm on, and I just didn't think it would be this hard. That's the thing. So this is my growth point now that I'm talking out loud and traveling. But I was mad at myself for being so judgy. I'm like, oh, well, these Ubers like this. Oh, I can't believe it's like this. And I'm like, girl, you said you wanted to stretch and grow. This your stretch and growth moment. So I had to check myself. And I had to just keep a lot of things inside because I didn't really want to share this with some of my friends because they're going to jump on solution mode. Some of my friends, I do have friends that just, I love that they never offer me any unsolicited advice. Ooh. They used to be quiet on the phone. I'm like, I'm like, you listening? They're like, I'm like, can you give me some pointers? And then they will speak. Ooh, I love y'all. I ain't gonna shout y'all out because some parents may think that they're those are friends, and they definitely not. But get to the point in the video. I have not been leaning on my friends as much to get through things like I would at home. I've been leaning on myself and praying to God on things, and I just felt like I've been so caught in between two worlds because I feel bad that I actually, from a transportation getting around,
I know I'm getting redundant with the word transportation. Let me elaborate here because I keep saying the word connected and saying, oh, the transportation. It was not an adjustment for me to be in Europe from a sense of my day-to-day in the U.S. Duh, that shouldn't have been a shocker. It didn't hit me until I got to Tanzania and with Egypt. So basically, when I got on the continent of Africa, how much I am westernized. And clearly I know that I'm from the US, but I didn't realize certain things would bother me as much as they did. For example, when I first got to Dar es Salaam, the restaurants that I picked to go to, they didn't have a menu. So when I go sit down, not only do I not speak the language and Google Translate doesn't work, I don't have a menu to point to. So I'm struggling trying to figure out what to order. Then I'm kind of pointing and making symbols of like chicken or something. And then not knowing the price. You don't have a menu, so you could be charging me anything. There is a difference in currency denomination. So they go by thousands here. In USD, we go by dollars. Like you can buy something with $1. You cannot buy anything with 1 shilling. It's like you need 1,000 shillings or 500 shillings. Like the denominations are different. That is not a thing in Europe. It's pretty much €1 can get you a bag of chips, like a dollar can get you a bag of chips back at home. And I keep making this comparison because I'm trying to drive home the point of how comfortable I was in Europe because of the day to day things that I'm used to in the US, and that bothers me to my core, that I was so, like, internally, and I'm being honest in this video, I was complaining about the things I was used to on a day to day versus focusing on the other things. Like, okay, I said I want to fit in from a racial standpoint. That's about it, because I don't know the culture in Tanzania. And so it's like just being ignorant flat out, and just like, wow, I can't use the modern things, Google Translate, that I was able to get through in Europe when I was uncomfortable. I had uncomfortable moments in Europe, but it was just more of a mind blank because I'm around a whole bunch of people that look like me, and well, once I got my clothes together, and I can't connect with them even though they can connect with me. So hopefully that makes sense.
Being out, I connected more in Europe than I do in Tanzania, and that bothers me. But then on appearance wise or whatever, food wise, because the food now here is good. I had struggled the first couple days, with seasoning it, and it's just like cultural food that I'm used to eating. I get here, and so that's been cool. And I'm glad that the people that I meet, they understand me. You know what I mean? But I want to understand them. I don't want to go travel and only be with Black Americans. Like, if we do stuff and try to learn the culture, that's not what I'm traveling for. I just didn't realize how hard it would be until now. Since I've been here, but I wanted to be by myself for a moment because I'm trying to just figure out how to get through these emotions that I'm feeling. Very conflicted on why am I not 100% comfortable here, from all the reasons that I told you that I'm not comfortable here, right? The culture, not understanding their culture, but they understand my culture. In Europe, that was missing. The transportation thing, like not being able to just walk around freely, like by myself, because the roads and getting around, just so much of that. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions or comments below. And look on screen and see the next video coming up. Like, subscribe, and share if you care. And I will see you on the next one. Bye.